My dad was Keith Parkinson, who did the cover for EverQuest.
I sit down with Nick Parkinson to talk about the iconic art of EverQuest. We also go deep into Lucklin with the developer that created Deepshade, and another installment of Which is Older. The EverQuest Show starts now.
I'm on top of the world and now I'm living, and the good just gets better, keeps on giving. Not even close to the end, it's just beginning. Life is getting lighter while the days are getting brighter. Gotta celebrate life and get excited about good times and good living. Come on, shout it out. Hey, take it up, take it over, take it out of control. Today I'm freeing my soul and now you got me singing.
Hi, and welcome to the EverQuest Show. I'm Fading here in the EverQuest Show studios. We're now about 3/4 of the way through the year of Darkpaw, celebrating 2.5 decades of the EverQuest franchise. But you can't celebrate EverQuest without acknowledging the iconic art that symbolizes the game. It is the epitome of EverQuest. It was the vision that gave us our first glimpse into what we'd encounter in the world of Norath. The iconic artwork of Keith Parkinson graced the retail boxes of the original EverQuest: Cunard, Velius, Lucklin, and the Planes of Power. By the time Keith Parkinson was commissioned by Brad McQuaid to create the artwork, Keith was already an accomplished fantasy artist, creating years of art for Dungeons & Dragons and then cover art for some of fantasy's biggest authors. But it was the beloved EverQuest artwork that, in Keith's own words, would change his life and define Norath. Earlier in the year, I sat down with the EverQuest developers and asked them what his artwork meant to them.
Well, it's beautiful work, and you can see the threads of that work running through it even today. You know, there's a sense and a tension in his work that's still in the game.
You can almost hear the theme music playing in the background when you see those pictures.
It truly is iconic. I mean, I don't know of anyone who could have nailed the feel that we were going for more than what he did.
I think what he was great at was capturing scale, and also his rendering was so great in making all the materials, whether it was leather or like the scales of a dragon, it almost feels like you could go out and touch them. That's leather, those are scales, but that's a leather belt on an ice giant that's fighting a dragon right now. He was able to make things almost feel real, and I think that is always in the back of my mind when we're making our zones.
To know more about Keith and the creation of this art, I sat down with his son, Nick Parkinson.
Yeah, so when the first painting started, I would have been in middle school.
Do you remember it being painted? Do you remember it being half finished?
Yeah, I do. To that point, probably the largest painting I'd seen him do. I mean, the paintings themselves are physically quite large because it's a wraparound box, and so people see the front, they turn around, and there's a whole other painting on the back, and so it has to be quite large. And they were all very, very large, and so they took longer to do.
Keith would spend up to 2 months on the original EverQuest piece. Each piece of art was essentially divided into thirds to fit on the retail box cleanly. I had Nick walk through the process that Keith used to create his art.
A painting like EverQuest is really, 14 or 15 smaller sketches combined into one thing. When he starts breaking down how he's going to formulate, a scene, he'll do little thumbnails, and you'll get a sketch pad that has, 8 or 12 of those things, and, little 1 or 2 inch squares, and then eventually he would kind of piece them together to compose the scene on a paper like this. Then he would redraw that, and then that is what he did the painting on. Typically he would do oil on masonite, oil on canvas. I believe most of these are oil on masonite.
Nick's collection of his father's work is essentially an archaeological dig into the key art for EverQuest, a museum of the life's work of Keith Parkinson, including original sketches, oil paintings, and even the original drafting table that Keith used to paint the EQ paintings.
Architects will use it, but he used it to paint instead of an easel. And so it's a large wooden board that you can kind of invert as needed. And the one that I have is the one that he used my entire life. It's the one that all the coolest things he made that I got to see him paint growing up, he made it on. I mean, he's got notes on that thing that he wrote to himself about flesh tones and phone numbers to call back of editors and just random things that it's like, oh, this is such a cool moment in time.
But Nick has an even more special connection to EverQuest than really any of us, since his father forever immortalized him into the original EverQuest piece.
I would get drafted into helping out, dress up as, I've been gnomes, dwarves, goblins, anything small or weird looking that he would then paint and put into the So if you look at like the
So you would dress up
Yeah,
so that he could paint you.
Yeah. So like if you look at the EverQuest cover, like there's literally a picture of me. Look at the halfling, and then look at the picture, and it's like, oh yeah, okay, that's that.
And that's not the only time he's made an appearance in the art.
So if you look on the Velios cover, I was running a website at the time called The Safe House, and I posted under the name Glip the Gnome, and he hid the name Glip on the hem of the gnome, in that he's coming up through the snow. And if you zoom in, you can see it. It's plain as day.
Keith often used his family, neighbors, and even himself as models for the sketches to create the artwork. Even Keith himself appears in the art.
If you look at the ogre in Plains of Power, that's his face. Like, that face he's making, that's my dad's face. The gnomish arrow launcher, which is one of my favorite pieces of anything on any of the covers. This was actually based on something he pulled out of one of our D&D games. He was an amazing dungeon master.
What are your fondest memories of him?
Oh, working and playing games with him, 100%. No, my dad was my best friend. Like, I know that's not cool to say or whatever, but he really was. He was awesome. And I'd like to think, folks who've met him would tend to agree.
But what was it about Keith's art that made it so special?
He was a painter, and he could see color in a way that others really couldn't. And you'll have to pardon the language, but he was known for the Parkinson shit brown, is what they called it. I think Larry Elmore coined that term. A lot of artists, here's my brown tube of paint, and that's that. Here's my blue, maybe I'll mix a little bit together. But no, you look at Keith's easel and his palette, and it's just, it's like balls of mud. It's just like, what is that? But then he puts it on there, and like, oh, it's a tree, I get it. And then it's amazing. And so, generally speaking, it's a snapshot of a fantasy world. It's a moment just taken. It's not a pose staged, like, hey, this is our group photo for the cover, It's hey, these guys are fighting, something's going on, like, here's a shot. Because it's telling a story, it's active, and it's in motion, and there's a story unfolding in your eyes, and you get to kind of fill in the blanks.
In the next episode, Nick will fill in the blanks on more of Keith's art, including the controversy behind this Kunark artwork and the changes that had to be made from the original sketches. In the meantime, let's meet one of the current artists for Daybreak that's working to create zones for EverQuest II.
I am Nick Viater, and I'm a senior environment artist on EverQuest II. So I'm primarily focused on the overland zones of expansions. We usually have about 3 of those per expansion nowadays. With my zones personally, I like to have a lot of discovery for the player, where when you jump in and you're kind of running around, you kind of can get lost. There's a lot of meandering around and a lot of verticality that happens in the zone. You're more of an explorer. It's way more, wow, I didn't know that was over there for the first time, or look at that thing in the distance. It's like, I want to go there, I want to get over there, that looks awesome. I think the Karupa jungle, that zone is amazing, and I think Tim did a fantastic job on it. Just how kind of small you feel and how overgrown and giant the jungle is. And you have dinosaurs walking around, and then like as you go through these giant vines, overhanging vines and trees, an incredible, just atmospheric, and it's very well done. I was working on, I think it was Sandstone Delta. I left some holes in between some rocks and terrain. One of the designers come in and he goes, oh, leave that in. That actually, don't fix that. We'll put a little treasure trove there. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess. And so it's kind of funny how some mistakes that I do where I need to go back and fix them are turned into these like secret little alcoves. Lannis, Terrastol, I just love the evilness and because Norath, you have all these, we do so many pretty zones and so many amazing characters that are so good, and then it's so awesome to have these sinister ones in the backgrounds. It was Altera Malice was my first expansion I worked on, and that was, we were revamping the Newbie Island, Isle of Refuge, and one of the bigger things I got to do was the Wizard Tower, I got to blow it up. That's probably the most significant thing I've done to them. Yeah.
My main, Fading, is an enchanter. And as the crowd controller, targeting NPCs needs to be quick. Well, did you know there is a cycle NPC hotkey that you can assign? It's not assigned by default, but here's a little tip for how I like to target NPCs quickly. First, go to your options panel and choose the keys tab. If you choose the target dropdown, it'll make it easier to find the cycle NPC hotkey, which is not assigned by default. Now, I like to assign it to the space bar. I know that's the jump key by default, but how often do you actively use the jump key in EQ? So I reassign jump to J. Okay, so now you ask, why the spacebar? Well, the spacebar is the largest and easiest key on the keyboard to get to, and I need to get to it quickly. Whenever I need to cycle through NPCs, I simply smash the spacebar as quickly as possible until I've selected the mob that I need. You can also assign other cycle hotkeys like cycle PCs or cycle through the extended target list. When I play my druid or cleric alts, I like to use the cycle corpse hotkey for quickly targeting through lots of corpses for rezzing, like when the raid wipes because someone besides the tank pulled aggro. One of the zones from the Night of Shadows expansion is Deepshade, and if you've seen it, you certainly know that that zone can be considered a work of art.
When we were discussing the plot for Night of Shadows, we got to a point where we were talking about all these different places that we're going to be going to. And one of the things that I asked the community of is, what is something that you want answered that we haven't yet? One of them that someone brought up was the door in Shadowhaven. I thought to myself, this needs to be ooh-ah moment. This needs to be when a player walks in and they go, oh my goodness, what is this? So this has been here this whole time? So what I was given was essentially a beat of the story and the name, the Deepshade. And I just upset people by saying the on that one, I understand. With that, I kind of thought to myself, okay, I know it's gonna be a cave, it's gonna be dark, hasn't been open in a while. So something was trapped in there, what are we gonna do with that? What would happen? And to me, I thought, if I was an artist and I was stuck in a cave, what would I do? I'd paint the walls. I'd start painting the walls and slowly go insane. And that's kind of one of the things that I kind of built in that zone, is that you're watching someone go insane. I just wanted to make a zone that you think you have it all figured out. So you're walking around and you're on the top level, and then you find a hole, or you find another direction where to go for the story, or you find the big hole and you're like, wow, it's a really pretty area because that's where all those mushrooms are that are colored. I wanted to mix that up with the lore of where Deepshade is located. Deepshade is underneath the Pollutal Caverns. So the idea was that the magic that's been there has been seeped through and it fall down into that cavern. And I wanted to have bioluminescent spores in there for the painter, whoever was stuck in there, to paint. That's actually inspired by San Diego. San Diego, every year we have a bioluminescent migration that shows up on the beach, and people will go take pictures. It's very pretty. And I remember that happening when I was writing up what to do in Deepshade, and I'm like, yeah, bioluminescent paint. I also came across the idea of I wanted to use things that are familiar. So I wanted to use the elementals, and that's why the elementals are painted the way they are, is because I thought that was really cool. They don't have eyes, but what if they did have eyes that they couldn't see you with? That'd be really creepy, right? Yeah, let's have those all over, that kind of thing. And I wanted them to play with the colors of the paint that we did, and I was so happy with what came out of that.
Last episode we played a game. Where does EverQuest fit in the pop culture of 90s and 2000s? Well, now you can play along for round 2. I'm gonna give you a thing, and you tell me if you think it is older or if EverQuest is older.
I love this game. I play this all the time. Let's see what we got.
Okay.
Okay, EverQuest is older than dirt.
I am older than EverQuest.
All right, got it? So, which is older? EverQuest or?
Now, EverQuest from launch or EverQuest from beta?
From launch. From launch. We'll go from the official launch date, but that's a good question.
All right, which is older?
I'm gonna get a lot of this wrong.
I have very bad time sense. We'll see how we go.
Which came first, Facebook or EQ?
I want to say Facebook came out before EverQuest.
Oh man, the Facebook.
I think Facebook.
EverQuest.
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 Our guild was already running when we started Facebook, and we thought that would be a good way to communicate.
I remember when Facebook came out.
I remember MySpace. Vividly.
Privately or open to everybody?
It had to have been private before it came out.
EverQuest.
EQ.
I would say EverQuest came first, and that's just a hope.
Facebook. No.
No, it's EverQuest. Yeah.
Okay.
Facebook wasn't until 2004.
Wow.
Almost 5 years later. The last episode of Seinfeld.
I have not seen a single episode. Well, I've seen about half an episode.
That was the 90s, I believe.
I caught pieces.
I didn't understand half the humor or jokes.
I may have watched one episode of Seinfeld.
We used to be owned by Sony, and they used to give us Seinfeld episodes. That had... Oh, I was going to say before. Yeah, I'm going to go with the first answer, before.
I'm going to just guess EverQuest. I don't know.
I'm going to say Seinfeld.
I'm going to say Seinfeld.
That is correct. 98 was the time frame there.
For real? That throws me off. I thought
98 is when Seinfeld went off the air.
I could have swore okay.
Were you a Seinfeld fan at all?
A bit, yeah.
Favorite character?
Oh, that would be George.
Kramer.
I did try to do the entrance, you know, and I have a few scars.
Which came first, EverQuest or the Starbucks pumpkin spice latte?
Time before pumpkin spice lattes. The dark ages.
I'm gonna say pumpkin spice latte.
EQ.
EverQuest?
I'm gonna be rejected from Seattle if I get this wrong.
What do you order at Starbucks?
Vanilla lattes.
Caramel frappuccino.
Whole bean espresso.
It's going to be a mocha.
It's a sugar-free vanilla.
Grande cappuccino, wet with 1 Splenda.
Now, you might think that I'm a pumpkin spice latte girl, but I'm actually not.
I am actually allergic to coffee.
I'm an energy drink guy and I need to switch.
I'm allergic.
You're the second person that says they're allergic to coffee.
I don't even know when Starbucks started. Oh no, I do know. Starbucks started way before EverQuest. Pumpkin spice latte, though, I think is a more recent invention. I'm going to say that EverQuest is older.
It is EQ. 2003 was when the pumpkin spice latte was officially unveiled.
Very popular in my house.
The Fast and the Furious franchise, so the first movie.
Fast and Furious, right?
EverQuest.
Oh, EverQuest.
Fast and Furious.
I did not watch these.
I've never seen any of them, actually.
We're on like Fast and Furious, like 12 now.
There's so many of them.
We're on 11, right, or 10?
I think EverQuest is older.
I'm sticking with my boy. I'm going with EverQuest.
That is correct. Fast and Furious came out June 22nd of 2001.
So when you edit that, you act like I knew that instantly, and it was really impressive.
Well, this episode's been all about art, so make sure you comment below with what you think about Deepshade, or especially the iconic artwork of Keith Parkinson. Do not miss the next episode, as you'll see the second half of my interview with Nick Parkinson, and we'll have many more developer interviews and content all about the EverQuest franchise. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in NORAD.
We gotta be the best we can be. And though sometimes we don't want to, still we gotta chase our dreams. Reach up and reach high, because we're gonna pull through and give it all we got, even though it can seem hard to catch and make it happen. But we can't start sliding, come on, and do what you gotta do to fight on. And so no matter what comes your way, nothing can ruin your day or even wipe your smile away. And by the time I'm up and out of my